Alrighty. Hello, everybody. This is Kirosho here, and now, before we do get started, let me give a brief little review. In the last part, we had a number of events happening. Now, Deku, he has spent the last 2 months trying to be a father to his children. In this amount of time, a lot of things have happened. Granola has rebuilt further. He's had time to look into and study the things he got from the labyrinth and from the dragons. Now, along with these studies, he has been training Shomo, along with trying to continue his own physical training. Now, Deku has noticed he has plateaued. No matter how many times he goes out and does quest, or one of his doubles goes somewhere out to try and perform a hunt, he does not gain a substantial enough amount of XP. Now, this is a little aggravating for him. Deku knows for a fact he can get stronger, but the levels, they may have stopped coming for a bit of time. Now, him and Ochako had a chat about what they could do with potential skills. Deku pointed out one to her that he was going to tell Bakugo about, an ability called Limitless. An ability that is very potentially dangerous to their physical bodies. However, with the benefit of their immortality from their patron deities, they may be able to avoid most of, if not the harshest side effect: death. Now, he's not too sure how it may work. He's not really sure how their divine gifts would keep them immortal. He's heard of different forms, but from what he can understand, this power, it is far too great. It has the ability to, with every 10 points of their power stat, give them a 10 times boost to their physical strength. And right now, Deku, knowing about his draconic empowerment, has a theory about how much stronger he can get. But that is only one of the main issues. Along with the Planeswalker perk that they do all carry, this ability could be highly dangerous. Now, Bakugo popped in over Deku and informed him about this. But Bakugo was also informed about this ability and exactly what the Demon Lord's plans might be. The Festival of Lights may be when he does strike. And that was not good. They have less than 2 months before the Demon Lord might try to reunite with his other half. In the meantime, however, Bakugo got the go-ahead from Usun Druso to start causing chaos in hell. And that is what the three went off to do. However, Deku, he also sent one of his doubles out beforehand to go on an adventure with Shomo. Since Shomo, he got to see the character of his father. He came to Granola with his party members, but his family, they moved on without him ever being there. And it certainly means something. Shomo got better. His mother opened a business selling her potions and even selling concoctions that the locals of Granola do enjoy. She was happy. Even Shomo told Deku she's been in a better mood ever. And whenever his father came around, that got soured. Now, Deku decided to take Shomo out on a quest. And right now, he does have a lot going through his head. As he does go to someone stand there, telling Shomo, looking at the leather armor he's wearing in a shop. He's pretty sure that this will work. Though, he told him before, he's gonna be restraining his power. If he's gonna try and pretend to be something, then at least pick something consistent. I mean, he could pretend to be a druid, a barbarian, a knight. He's got the skills, but is he sure he really wants him to be, I don't know, a fighter class? Oh, come on. Do you really want me to give you barbarian stuff? I mean, it would be cool, but this looks cooler. Deku going to somewhat roll his eyes before he does get a hold of his katanas and tell Shomo. He uses swords like this, and with the moniker of Shogun, basic leather armor like this, it doesn't exactly fit. Perhaps some simple robes would actually help. Like those over there. Him going to gesture out to them, talking about it. Enchanted robes. Basic defense and light. Maneuverable. Those might be better, especially for a trained swordsman. And he does get a look over at them. Right now, going to Express, asking the shopkeeper about how much those robes are, and the man does get to quote them at 30 silver pieces. And Shomo does get a somewhat wince, hearing the price of 3 gold pieces. And Izuku, he does talk about it. Right now, going to take the robes and going to equip them in his inventory, taking off the leather armor as he does go to stand there. Right now, him looking down at himself and talking about it. Well, he can replace the shoes with something simpler. But other than that, these are pretty good. Him rotating his shoulders and telling Shomo. They're pretty good though. But he would wear out that armor pretty fast. Him and leather don't exactly mix too well nowadays. Before he does pull the item out of his inventory, handing it back over to the shopkeeper, who does go to somewhat stare at the equipment. Him going to nod his head and go to put it away, as Shomo does get a turn to Deku. And Shomo, he does go to stand there in his own leather armor. Him quite happy about it, though he does still have a bit of trouble deciding on a weapon. Him glancing over at Deku's weapons himself, before turning back to a rack of them and trying to decide. I mean, a staff is definitely a good weapon. A lance, that could work. A long spear? Maybe, but he's not too sure. Twin daggers are an interesting prospect. Though he does go to glance over at Deku, staring at his equipment and seeing the 3 swords at his waist, along with the Tanto he's rarely ever seen Deku use. And he does go to walk over to the rack. Right now, him going to grab 2 daggers and going to grab a sword. Before he does get a turn and grab a bow, him looking at Deku and asking him if he's got an item he can use like a bow. And he does it to hold up his wristbands, telling Shomo he can use these or the bow he got from Nero. Though, he can also try and buy wristbands like this too. A spell thrower's bow? Really? Unfortunately, we don't have that item. You would have to go over to one of the larger stores in the shopping district. But I am quite happy to have your patronage, Lord Izuku. Please, Izuku is just fine. I'm taking my apprentice on a trip, and I think it'd be good for him to learn about basic items. I will be restricting myself with my weapons, but just because of that doesn't mean he's going to have a simple time. It's a training experience, which means our adventure is going to be based on how strong he is. I see. It's nice to see young adventurers starting out. I've seen quite a lot of that, but young man, do be wary about your trip. I've heard of plenty of people die that way. Deku bring a hand up and going to somewhat try and wave off the shopkeeper to change the subject. And whatever they do to leave the shop, Deku does get to tell someone to wait. Right now, him turning and watching as Deku does make his draconic aspects begin to disappear, waving his hand with a spell as he does get someone stand there, and even his tattoos do begin to start vanishing. Deku focusing on that for a second before bringing up his arm, talking about it. Good, he managed to get that right. What did you do? Illusion spell. It's similar to a polymorph spell, but it's a bit better. It'll hold up under scrutiny, but right now I think I look fine. Is that what you used to look like? A little bit. Though I am keeping some of the markings. Him gesturing to the scar hidden under his beard, talking about it. This one, for example. He's grown quite attached to it. Him going to lower his hand to the side of his neck, talking about it. A lot of people find that scar to be quite noticeable. So hiding it doesn't feel right. Shomo going to shrug his hands, telling Shomo. Now then, they've got to go and find a quest. Then they could potentially head to one of the larger magic shops and try and see about different magical items. But we already got stuff. Lesson 1, Shomo. An adventurer needs to always be prepared. Just because you got items from a shop once doesn't mean you know what you're going to do for a quest. If you think you're prepared, you're not. Double checking isn't bad. Him walking by, putting his left arm onto the hilt of one of his swords, resting it, and continuing to walk, telling him, it's always a good idea to double check his inventory, making sure he's got everything he needs to carry. Him going to watch Shomo try and imitate his stance. Though Izuku does going to tell him, that won't exactly work for his kit. Hold on to the guard of his sword. Rest it there and see how that does feel. Shomo, listening to Deku as the two do continue to walk. Though he does have trouble with the relaxed stance that Deku does seem to be able to carry nonchalantly. And when they do get to arrive at the guild hall, they do get to step in. Some people turning to the two and going to stare at them. And Deku, he does get a few strange glances. People going to stare at him. His orange eyes are a clear indicator that he's someone that, no, they thought he was, but that's weird. Huh. Is someone pretending to be the hero? Or is that just a man with a similar appearance? Right now, someone going to start stepping forwards. Them recognizing Izuku, but they do to stop, glaring at him and turning their head. And he does a turn looking at Shomo, informing him. Now, as party leader, he's going to be taking on some quest. Though, he is quite intrigued to see what he might pick. Right now, a dwarf going to walk by and go to make his way past Izuku. Him turning to look at the man before he does go to stare at the massive hammer on his shoulder. Intrigued about it, before he said turn back and come face to face with an orc. The man expressing, "Is he the hero of Kunala?" "Hmm? No, big guy. I'm a little busy right now." "Ah, so you are him." "Yes, I am. Though, right now I'm a bit busy." "But he has horns." Deku letting out a bit of a sigh, talking about it. He knows he has horns. Right now it's a spell. I see. Him turning back to his party, pointing out about how he said it's a spell. And he does not turn, watching as a druid and a ranger do go to glare at each other. The ranger going to pull a gold coin and toss it to the druid, who does go to snatch it out of the air and go to wave it around as their greatest treasure, letting out a bit of a small happy dance. And Deku does stare at that, walking over past the man, as he does go to ask Shomo, staring at a wall full of quest notices. Exactly what he's going to be picking. He knows that there's a lot of lower tier quests on the board. And, well, they could go by and ask the tavern if they might have any other type of quest. People do tend to pin some quests there, but they're more combat oriented. Are they? They are. Guilds typically will allow taverns to do that, but they usually have a copy of those adventures as well. You could go ask the receptionist. Him nodding his head. And whenever he does go to walk over, Deku does go to follow. Them going to hear the door be pulled open as a man does come stepping in. Right now, Deku going to walk up to a desk that is empty. Some people walking by, but others do to turn their attention when a man does step in. Immediately going to pound his staff onto the ground. Them turning their heads as the man does express. He is here to quite simply do something great. He wants all of them to be aware and be witness to his greatest prospect yet. He demands witnesses to his greatest feat. People going to look at each other. And the man is going to try to proclaim in front of the guild hall. He wants a dragon slaying quest. He wants something of great renown that he may give to the queen of this nation, the queen of this city. And people, they do go to watch a man step forwards. Him walking up to a receptionist's desk and going to stare down at a goblin woman, asking her if she has any quest that fit his description of great renown. He wants a dragon. We don't have dragon slaying quests at the moment. There's no dragons within the area of Granala. The last one that was here was a red dragon over 20 years ago. Deku going to watch the man's face crease in annoyance, asking her if there is any large prey he may hunt then. And she does get a turn. Right now, looking around her desk and trying to find those adventure notices. Turning to the man and shaking her head no. Talking about how the only dragons will be at the lair in the castle she's heard of. Dragons nesting in a castle. No, I've heard of everything. Despicable creatures. How exactly am I supposed to gain the hand of a fair princess? Your Majesty. Someone turning, expressing that she's a queen. Yes, whatever. Deku snorting out a laugh, And when attention does get a fall onto him, he does go to stare down at the man, who does express. Does he find something funny? Him turning. And Deku does get to stare at the silver-haired man, talking about it. Yes, he does. He simply thinks that Queen Lillian will fall for him because he slays a beast and puts it at her feet. He clearly doesn't know her at all. I'll have you know, commoner, I've known Lillian since before you were ever in this city. No, I don't doubt that. Are you a prince, a noble, or just some snobby asshole with money? How dare you? Do you not know who I am? Clearly you don't know who I am. Deku going to bring his hands up and snap his fingers. Right now, a purple glow surrounding him. And whenever the mist does begin to fade away into somewhat rainbowish smoke, he does go to cross his arms. And the man does stare at him. A dragon kin? Is that what they look like with magic? Huh. What are you supposed to be? He's the hero of Granala. Someone going to state. When the man does a turn, hearing that man boast it out, he does a look back at Deku, bring his hand up, and bring it to his face. The hero of Granala. The hero. Ah, yes. Now he remembers this one. Him looking at Deku. Turning as Shomo, he does go to stare at the man. Him looking back. Expressing. Perhaps he could put in a good word with him with the queen then. He's quite interested in meeting with her. She's declined his invitations for a meeting. Not happening. If she doesn't want to meet with you, she won't meet with you. I see. Well, Granala as a nation, as a city, has been growing quite prosperous. I heard you dealt with the attacks of many months ago, and the city's far larger than I would have ever given it credit for. Yes, we rebuilt. Then, allow me to just simply say, my homeland is far more prosperous, and I'm quite certain that the Queen would understand. A political alliance through our marriage may be the best for her nation. And I don't think you understand. Lillian and I are together. Maybe we're gasping out. And Deku does gonna bring up a hand, expressing. It's quite simple. She may not like that he's making this public knowledge, but it's simply a fact. She and him won't be an item. He hates to burst his bubble. No renown will change that. And what? Will she die like your other friends did? Deku looking at the man, narrowing his eyes. Yes, I've heard of you before. You're the one that went insane and then failed to save his allies when it ran out of the room, being alarmed by the sheer amount of bloodlust that does emanate through it. In Izuku, he does go to glare the man down as everyone does go to watch on. Right now, some falling to their knees. And Shomo, he doesn't even stand a chance. Right now, he is sent tumbling to the left as he does to hit the ground. Right now, the force of the aura threatening to crush him. And Deku, he did move. Right now, him holding the man up in the air by his throat. And Izuku, he does glare the man down with sheer bloodlust. Right now, him going to hold him in the air and lower him down to his level. Though Izuku, when he does go to catch this fresh smell of urine, he does realize the man quite simply pissed himself. And he does note that down as something to laugh at later. And right now he has a turn. Right now, looking around the room as everyone they do to stare on. But all that man felt was the chill of death approaching him. And he does hold the man at an eye level, informing him. Right now, he has one very simple option. He is going to apologize. And the man does glare at Deku, his intensity fading away since Deku just crushed his windpipe. And the fact that that does fill his eyes with fear means quite a bit. The man's guards on the ground, right now struggling to try and raise their weapons against the threat in front of them. And Deku does go to let up on his aura, dropping the prince to the ground. And when the man is crashed down to the floor, holding onto his throat, he does go to try and begin to sit up. Though trying to wheeze out breath through that windpipe of his is not an easy feat. And the two men in front of him, they do go to struggle back onto their knee and go to look up at Deku. One holding up a weapon and announcing this act as an act of war. To which Deku does go to bring his hand up and go to crush his arm with telekinesis. It going to fall to the ground as the man does go to look down, his hands shaking. Right now, covered in the leather items that held it to his body. The metal sitting there as nothing but, well, crunched items. Him looking at the other guard, pointing up a finger and asking the man exactly what he's going to do now. And the man does go to stay on his knee and not go to do anything. Him lowering his gaze to the ground. Deku going to crouch down and bring his hand out. Him going to heal the prince's throat as the man does get a gasp out for air. Him going to try and raise himself up as Deku does get a stand, putting his foot to the man's back and smashing his face back down to the ground. Him right now trying to get his cheek away from the puddle. He's so unceremoniously left there. And he does go to be allowed up whenever Deku does give him the space. Him going to express. Now, he wants him to grovel for his life. He wants to hear him beg to be let go. And after that, things will be very, very simple. He wants an apology. Then he can go with his tail between his legs. He would have allowed him to seek fortune. But he's lucky he doesn't just kill him. There's a simple little fact. Him going to bend down. He's a planeswalker. He could send him to the far realm to deal with many of the eldritch horrors he knows exists there. He can throw him into the abyss and see how that does work out for him. Send him to the hells, but right now those are currently under siege. They are at war. Or, well, drop him somewhere else. Somewhere where his name and title don't mean a lick of shit. Does he understand this now? And the man does get a somewhat stare at Deku, who does go to raise his hand when the man does still hold that defiance. Him putting it to his forehead and pulling something free. His eyes going gray as he's collapsed to the left. Deku holding up a red little ball, and he does a turn to the guard, expressing, "Does he know what this is?" The man going to shake his head no, and Deku does turn to the other one, who does go to similarly shake his head. This is his soul. If I wanted to, I could let it go and he would reincarnate. If I wanted to, I could put it back and he can live his life. No memory of this happening. Just the witnesses. Him going to give the man an unceremonious. He doesn't give the man another unceremonious kick to the gut. Him going to be sent flying 5 feet into a table. Turning back to the two men, talking about it. See? Not even a sound. Him going to hold it up, expressing he could just destroy it and leave that husk there to rot. Living but undead. Now isn't that a bitch? Now, him going to bring his finger up and go to point it in the direction of the body. The small ball flying towards it and going to go back inside. The man jumping up before immediately collapsing. And Deku does get a walkover, bending down again, telling the prince he hopes he does remember that. The gap between them is far larger, and what he thinks happened is not what happened. Now, he's going to leave him with one more parting gift. Deku bring a finger up to the man's head before he has a scream, and the two men he was with do have to carry him out of the Adventurers Hall. Right now, them leaving Granola as fast as they can. And over Izuku does get to stand. He does get to walk back over to the receptionist, bring up a bag, and going to drop it onto the table, before turning back to everyone who does get to give him a wary look. Sorry about that, everyone. He just hit a nerve. Now, they should cover the damages as well as giving everyone a gold coin in the room. My personal gift. Now, as for that, it should also buy drinks for everyone here. Some people glaring at Deku. The wonderful dwarf does go to raise his hammer and roar out. Some of the crowd do begin to do so. Though one of the guild members does get someone stare at Deku, before he does get a turn and express, there's enough in that bag for each of them to take 5 of those coins. They deal with a lot. And she does a glance up, since that's more than 3 years of her salary. And she does get to nod her head and turn back to Shomo, handing him a pile of quest notices and telling him that he can just take these right now. They have multiple copies and, well, she's got to clean that up. Deku nodding his head. Shomo into him, going to leave before finding a place to sit down where Shomo does try to ask questions about what the hell just happened. He ripped out a dude's soul. Can he do that? I'm not sure I can teach you that. That might come from my divine blessing. Or my spirit ability. It's hard to really know. Really? How many powers do you have? A lot. Trust me. It's hard to train some of them, but others have gotten left behind. Him pulling a cord from his inventory, talking about it. This is a cursed item. It used to have access to his woodland magic. Though it still kind of does hold that access, it's a little hard to say. Is it? Oh yeah. The magic flows in me, kind of, but I'm sure I can give it away in a Fey bargain, so I'm waiting on that to happen. Really? It's never a bad idea to have something in your arsenal you can use, especially against a Fey. You just have to be willing to either lose it or part with it easily. Though if you part with it too easily, they get suspicious. At least give them a bit of a fight for it. Guide them to it, like a horse to water, or a dragon to gold. Okay. Him going through some of the papers. How many of these can we do? However many it takes. We're trying to improve your mood. And I'm guessing after the guild hall, your mood might have been a little bit more soured. Okay, but Oh, we could do this one first. Him pointing it out. Talking about it. It talks about slavers. Deku's face going to sour. And he does express. Those people might need help. They can deal with it, right? Does it talk about much more, or is it just that? A group of bandits are known to enslave people in the nearby region. They've taken out 4 adventuring parties, and their bounty's been growing significantly. They've pillaged and raided nearby areas, and, well, it looks like they're well known. Okay. So you want to help those people? I do. Are you willing to kill to do that? I'm not sure. Think about it. I had to kill once to save a life. The first time I did, I was in a bit of shock. Though if you can avoid it, injure. That might be best. Does the bounty say anything about them being taken alive, or is it an execution order? A separate price for them being dead. It talks about their leader, but that's about it. Okay, and this looks like it could be a few days away. So we get horses now? We don't have to get horses. We could try traveling. Using Astok? But won't that be cheating? Man, it's only cheating if you don't want to fly on a magical dragon. Though, there is one other thing you're forgetting. The store. Yup. Him jumping up. And right now he does gather together these pile of quests for putting them in his storage bracelet. Them making their way over to the largest store Shomo sees in the district. And some people are muttering about what happened earlier that day. Right now, them walking to the store as Shomo does a look around, quite alarmed, staring at it. And he does begin to recount a mental shopping list in his own head. Potions, rope, and provisions. Along with the fact that they might be staying out in the wilderness. And that certainly is something he's not too fond of. Right now, him thinking about a few things. And Deku does go look around the store. This place certainly got larger since the last time. No, wait. This store is set up the same way as that one in Emsera. That's odd. It's not exactly the same, but that's eerie. Him surprised. He almost thought it was the same store. Some sort of magic? know the layout. It's probably just because it's a big ass store. Definitely a big store. Him walking over. Rhino seeing different deals for magical crystals. Him seeing crystals that could be used to record messages. Some that could be used to communicate over long distances. Even seeing items like pocket mirrors that could be used. Along with even seeing a crystal that does go to sit on a stand with a small box in front of it. Along with a picture showing that it could be used to shave hair. And Deku does go to stare at that. Him picking up the crystal and trying to think. Though, whenever he does go to find exactly where the blade would be, one of the edges on its strange shape, he does begin pour magic into it. And it's going to begin to glow with a faint edge on one side. And he does stare at that. If you put a few of these onto a that could make an interesting weapon. A blade only as sharp as the mana you put into it. Now that certainly would be an interesting tool. Him going to look at the item before turning back to a few others. His eyes wandering over, seeing a carriage, and he does so go to disregard it. Rhino him walking over and seeing a large book, beginning to flip through the pages of many magical items. Whenever he does a flip a page, he does a glance back over the carriage, hearing a strange noise as another vehicle, it does go to appear. The illusion magic going to glow and create it for him to see. And this Izuku does get to stare at. Talk about a showroom floor. Rhino him staring at a device that is called a glider. And it does look like something that you would ride like a skateboard. It's got eagle-like wings on the side. And the device that is there, it's like a pole you were to hold on to. Though from what you can understand, it seems like it's only large enough for one person to ride. Though it does have wings that can flap. And this does kind of interest him. Clearly he hasn't been paying attention to technology. Horseless carriages were already a thing, but alternative means of travel. Him going to flip another page. And this time, he does stare at another strange device. Though it looks more like a boat. But from the way it does get a look, it's built to be a lot more tough. The front of it, it does have a strange front to it. Almost like the point of his Tanto. Though the way it's angled, the sharp part is meant to clearly angle its way through the terrain. Along with that, it doesn't have wheels. But he doesn't stare at the ring that does go to sit behind it. Right now, him stepping a bit closer to the display before glancing back at the book. And he does go to look at it again. A man walking over and introducing him to a sand skimmer. Talking about how the device is quite simple. It works off of a stone used to identify itself individually, coded to a magical signature. And it is able to go through all different terrains. It's wind powered, thanks to ambient magic, and can even be powered by external mana to go faster. Along with that, it is piloted by the two devices on the side. Deku staring at that. And he is impressed. A land boat, but made to travel the terrain. It floats. A flying boat. Now that sounds fun. Him asking the man the price and going to accept it. The man, quite surprised, as he does talk about how he'll see if they have one in stock. Quickly making his way away. Inuzuku, after exploring this place a bit more, does get to find Shomo. Though when he does get to find him with two other adventurers, he does stare at them. Right now, him staring at two fox kids who look to be around his age. Though, from what he can tell, one is a fighter, and the other, she clearly is a cleric. Right now, him gonna step over and bring a hand up, pointing at Deku, talking about it. There he is. And the kid does get a freeze, staring directly up at the man, who does cross his arms in his robe, asking Shomo exactly if he's been looking around a little too much or did he find what he needed. I found it, I found it. Did you find something? I found something for our adventure. Though I'm fairly certain you're all going to like it. So they can come with us? You found out a rule I didn't even have to tell you about. Adventurer parties. If you're not well equipped enough to take on a threat on your own, find allies. Really? You're an adventurer? I can't sense his aura. Aura? Shomo turning to the two, before asking if they can sense his mana. His mana I can feel. It's similar to that one back at the guild hall. The one that was terrifying. That was me. A man said something about some allies of mine who passed. And you don't speak ill of the dead. But I heard that was the... Oh. The girl gonna bow her head. And the boy does ask Miyako what she's doing. Her turning and slapping her staff at her brother's shoulder. Him wincing as he does it to follow her lead. Before he does it introduce himself. He is Makoto. And this is Miyako, his younger sister. They're traveling around. But why is she bowing? This man is the hero of Cronulla. Her saying it through her teeth. And this time the kid does double take looking at Deku. Since this guy looks like a regular adventurer. A regular human. I mean, he heard the hero of Cronulla was human, but him? And Izuku does gotta bring a hand up, asking Shomo if he got everything he needed. Him nodding his head again. Before they do go over to a register, and a very friendly attendant does express to his favorite customer, a paying customer, about what exactly is happening. The item he purchased, it will be brought around back. And it is available to drive through the streets of Cronulla, but they are going to make him aware. The shopping district doesn't exactly have an express lane for the carriage he's bought. Carriage? But I thought we weren't buying horses. Who said anything about horses? The two staring at Deku. Quite surprised that this guy had the money to buy a carriage. Though whenever the vehicle does to be pulled up around the store, some people glancing over and even others pulling carriages, turning to look at Deku, they do go to stare at the strange vehicle. Right now, Deku stepping out and bringing a hand up. Him going to run his hand along the mahogany wood and staring at it. the man beginning to boast about what the boat can do. The skimmer, it has a ton of different things they may like about it. It does also come with a multitude of things. Number one, it is a specialized device. It was designed with magical runes in mind to glide along any surfaces. Along with that, it has been magically enhanced for durability. It can take quite a beating. However, him glancing back and putting a hand on the massive ring behind it. Talking about it. The ring is enchanted with runes. If the ring does suffer major damage, like a break, then it will not function at all. It does come with mending runes for the price that it does cost, and they may take up to 12 hours to repair. That is all they could manage. I see. So it's always in top condition. Yes, sir. As I said before, you do use the two sticks there on the sides to maneuver it. One is for elevation and acceleration, and the other is to help stop it. Deku going to climb aboard and climb into the elevated driver's seat, directly in front of the ring. And the man does begin to try and point things out to Deku. Him going to talk about it. And Izuku, he does understand. You make it go forwards, and with the, squeeze of it, you can make it go higher. That does make sense. The other lever, it is to help it slow down and or stop. And whenever he does go watch the others climb aboard, them putting down their adventuring bags, they do begin to take seats. As they do to watch Deku put a stone up to the console. Whenever it does get a light up, it does begin to create a barrier surrounding the vehicle. And Deku, he does begin to accelerate it. Right now, them leaving Granola for their quest. And the three are quite intrigued about this vehicle. Deku himself still quite impressed. It feels steady, almost like he's riding in a modern car. Magic. First, it can do crazy things like cure sicknesses. It can make you fly. It can teleport you. And now it can make a leisurely Sunday drive. Ain't that something? Cell phones and cars. That's interesting. Him wondering about it. The world is so odd with technology. They already have primitive guns, but he's sure in the next couple years they'll get better. Stronger? Maybe. But even then, a lot's come out of this world. He wonders what home would be like if they had magic. This thought going through his mind. Right now, them going to stop at the city gates and talk with the guards. Them quite surprised when Deku does get to hold up a necklace with a symbol they do get to recognize as a royal seal. And they are immediately waved through as the four do get to make their way through the forest. Right now, finding a path as Deku does get to ask Shomo if he knows exactly where they're going, and he does begin to guide him along. Though Deku, he does even talk about letting Shomo drive. But Shomo is quite wary of this. Him trying to keep a cool demeanor and stay in charge. The two kitsunes trying to question this, but Deku, he has a vague idea of what might be happening. Shomo is getting lost in an adventure. And whenever he does see the kids smile, he does go to hold his tongue. Right now, the four, they do continue to drive through the area, them passing through plains and even going to pass through the nearby forest, heading through the trails and trying to make sure to avoid areas Deku knows might carry some potential danger, like powerful creatures. Though these woods, they've definitely been seeing less and less of those. Right now, they're practically safe. Practically being that word he doesn't want to test right now. And when they do go to make their way far north and eventually do go to change their course, they do go to find an area in the woods to camp out. Right now, Deku setting them up with their tents. And he does want to talk about a few more things. Right now, him staying there and training a bit more with Shomo. And even trying to inform the kid about a bit more things. Wanting him to be aware of the dangers of their adventure. The people they're going to be trying to save are going to be in a different state of mind. One he may not be used to. They could still hunt different magical creatures, and he can take care of this quest. But the kid is firm on his stance. And when the two others do to hear about the quest these two are undertaking, they're more than willing to join. Right now, them sitting down for an evening meal as Deku, he does start staying on guard. Talking about how he can wake one of them up in a few hours to take his place. Then they can get moving. And they all do go to agree. Them sleeping in their tents as Suzuku does just want to stay by the fire. Him grabbing something from his inventory and holding it up. Thinking about his old friends. 2.5 years ago. It still kind of does hurt. Pyra's gone, Oliver's gone, and he's still alive. He's not cursed, and he can sleep better. He still intends to save the world. Save the worlds. Right now, him thinking about it. He can remember them all sitting around camping and laughing after killing a Yeti. It was one hell of a thing. Him going to raise the flask to his fallen comrades, taking a drink, and going to settle in for his watch. Right now, him turning his head and listening to the forest as the fire does go to crackle. And with that being said, I do believe that that is a good point to leave this part off of. And I do hope you guys enjoyed. Have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.